Okay, so just because the meeting was over, it's having only 40 minutes of time, so I started once again. So after that, we need to advertise this network, which is 172.16.64.0/19. So we'll advertise this one, and that's done. With the router ID, we can say 1.1.1 so that it will be the lowest router ID, and we have to designate, BDR, you can say designated router. We have to make a designated router DSR here. We have to go through and we have to create a designated router first. So for that, you have to implement the router ID. So already we did it. So we have the highest router ID here. That's 3.3.3 here. The router ID will be 1.1.1. So when you give this command, always in packet tracer, you need to write this command, which is clear IP OSPF process. When it says yes, no, you have to say yes here, and it's going to clear the IP OSPF process, and it's going to load the state, and then it's going to start processing. That's it. So this was the configuration part of OSPF. Now the main part is the authentication, the clear authentication, or clear OSPF authentication. Hello, Islam? Hello? Do you hear me? Islam, do you hear me? Tahani, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. Miss Sana is not able to hear. I don't know what's the issue. Try to log in again. I have already shared my screen. Yep, there's a problem here. You're not having any. Are you able to hear now? Sana? Okay. First of all, I will check the connectivity between two routers, ping to 172.16.32.1. There's a problem in the ping. We have not given the shutdown command here. Enable in config terminal, it's not up. You can see the red line is there. So interface gigabit ethernet 0/0/0, no shit. Now it's up. Yep, that was the issue. Exit WRIT, write it, and now let's try to ping again. You're getting the reply. So this was the problem. It was not up. The port was not up. It was by default down. Okay, great. So now as we are done with the configuration part of OSPF, and now the thing that we have to do is we have to go through the OSPF authentication. OSPF clear text authentication. So it's very simple, but mostly we do not use it. But if you want it to use, or if you want to use it in your future things or routers, you can use that. So what we have to do is, so you need to first of all just figure it out on which interface we should give it. So always the interface which is going out, even in the router we have 4 subnets. So this router is linking you to this router. So the authentication should be configured on these 2 interfaces. So we'll go here. So we'll go to interface, no, configure terminal. Oh, sorry. Configure terminal. This is the important step that we are going to go through. And it's now on this interface, the interface is serial 0/2/0. And here we have to use the command IP OSPF authentication. I guess there is no authentication here on this router. Authentication. Yeah, you can do it only on secret. Yep, yes, it's working. So IP OSPF authentication key secret, and then we can say IP OSPF. Second command is IP OSPF authentication. That's it. But it will not come automatically. That's it. So this is the command that you need to write. These are the 3 different commands that you need to write, or these are just 2. First one is go to the interface which is sending the data out and receiving the data on that interface, which is on this topology. It's 0/2/0 here. Then IP OSPF authentication key, which is secret. All right, this is the password basically. And then IP OSPF authentication. So these are the 2 commands which we are using. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and now the same commands we have to configure on the other router. You can see now neighbor relationship will be reestablished, but I will take an exit from here. I will take an exit from here. I just want to rebuild it. So write and build the configuration. I will minimize this. Now on this router, which is here, which is router first, again, I will go here and I will now go to config terminal, then go to the interface. Now, again, if you have to configure the authentication, it's on serial 0/2/1. So interface serial 0/2/1. So again, the same command we have to give IP OSPF authentication. Key is secret on both the interfaces. And sorry, IP OSPF key. We forgot OSPF key, secret, and then IP OSPF just authentication. In the first command, you just need to add authentication key secret. In the second, you just need you do not need to add key secret. You just need to add IP OSPF authentication. As hit enter. That's it, and exit. Exit from here and say right here. It's writing, or it's spelling the command. So here you can now see, if you wanted to check the authentication, you can say show IP on this interface, show IP OSPF interface serial 0/2/1. You will see IP addresses 64.2, area is 0, process ID is 13, router ID is 333, network type is point-to-point, cost is 64, and then transit delay is 1 second, state is point-to-point, time intervals configured, hello is this, dead is 20, wait is 40, retransmit is 5, hello due to this, index is this, next lost flood this, lost flood can scan this, neighbor count is 1, adjacent neighbor count is 1, adjacent with neighbor is this, simple password authentication enabled. You can see simple password authentication enabled is called as, when you see this type of line here in the routers interface, that means it's clear text authentication. You understanding?
Yes.
So that's what is clear text OSPF authentication. Clear with it? Clear text. I have not shown you the MD5. Next step will be, or next topology will be based on that particular, you can say, concept, which is MD5, which is more useful and which is mostly everybody is using nowadays in the network of OSPF. So go through this first, and then I will tell you, I will show you how to configure MD5 authentication on an OSPF network, on the interfaces of an OSPF network. Clear? So you have 10 minutes. Try to do it. I will be back in 10 minutes, and you can hold on the meeting right now, but do it in 5 to 10 minutes, or you can just take 5 minutes, but I will give you a work, like homework after some time also when the class will end. For today, I will give you the homework also, but just try to do it in 5 to 10 minutes. I will be back in 5 to 10 minutes, okay?
Okay.
All right, try to do it. Try to do it fast. Hello?
Hello.
Yep,
Hello.
yeah. So you can do it later on then. Hannah is still not here. She's not going to come today?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. Is she good? She's feeling well today?
I think so. I'm not sure.
You're not sure. All right, so I will save this one with OSPF clear text authentication. Next thing is MD5 authentication. So please have focus on this one because this is more important than the clear text. Nobody uses that, but this one is more important because everybody uses this for the security purpose. So the steps are simple and they are similar to clear text authentication. So we are using also two commands over here. So first, what we need to do is we need to configure the MD5 value on an interface by using the IP OSPF message digest and message digest key value, for example, 1, and then MD5 is the then value. All right, then you need to configure the interface to use. Then you have to configure interface. First of all, you need to tell the router I am going to use MD5. authentication algorithm. And now you have to tell the router on which interface we are going to, on the same interface we are going to configure it. And just we have to configure the interface so that it can use. We have enabled it on the interface, then we have to configure it on that interface. So configure, next step is to configure the interface to use MD5 authentication by using the IP OSPF authentication, IP OSPF authentication message digest command. Command. That's it. So these are the two things that we need to go through. So you can take a new topology, or you can even implement on the same topology that we have just used. But for me, I want you to create a new topology so that you can get more and more practice. All right, if there are 3 routers, so every time if you have 3 different networks, 3 routers or so, on this interface and this interface, on this and this, you need to implement what? Authentication. So you need to enable the authentication on every interface which is going out and coming in. So out and in, which is basically sending the traffic and receiving the traffic. Over there, you need to configure. But for demonstration purpose, I am always going to use only 2 routers. But remember this thing, the same way you are going to configure it if it's more than 2 routers, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or even more than that. Got it?
Yes.
So this is one PC, one switch here. I can just copy and paste to the switch, or Control Z. If you want, you can Control C, Control V. You can highlight it and copy and paste. That's another way if you want to save the time. Even after the cabling, you can copy paste so that you can save the time. Like you want to copy it, you can just drag and drop it like this, Control C and Control V. You will have double. You can see this is going to save your time, but I don't want it right now. I will delete everything. And then I am going to add one particular serial DC DTE, and then turn on the router again. Here also turn off the router 2T and turn on the router again. Then the serial port, which is this one. So again, the same configuration I will go through, or you can say, no, I'll go through the same configuration 16.0.0/19 here. It's 172.16.32.0/19 here. And it's here 172.16.64.0/19 here. So for this here, we have 0.1 as a gateway IP address, and here we have 32.1 as a gateway IP address. In this, we have 1, that's 64.1 and 64.2. Halas. And here I will mention it's OSPF MD5 Authentication. Interfaces, serial SE 0/2/0 and SE 0/2/1. That's the main thing which we need to remember always. So let's go to the router here and go to CLI. We don't need any initial configuration for now. Configuration terminal. First of all, we need to assign the IP addresses, right? So IP.
Yes.
address, sorry, no, interface first, gigabit 0/0 IP address over there, 172.16.0.1 with the subnet mask 255.255.224.0, right? If it's 19, that becomes 3 bits are on, 128 plus 64 plus 32.
Yes.
That's it. And no shutdown is very important command that you need to give. Then interface serial 0/2/0. IP address here is just 64 instead of 0. Just replace it with 64 and no shut. That's exit from this interface. Exit from here, and then we can say write to build the configuration in the flash. So again here we don't need it. So configure terminal interface gigabit ethernet 0/0/0. IP address is 172.16.32.1 with the subnet mask 255.255.224.0. No shit. Exit, then interface serial 0/2/1. Then IP address 64.2. 64 is the network, so instead of 1 it's going to be 2. That's it. No shutdown. So we are done with this particular configuration, so we can say right, IP assignment is complete. Then we will start enabling the OSPF first of all. So what are we going to do? So again, we'll get back to configuration terminal, router, OSPF, process ID, for example, use help for the process ID. So it can be like 15, and then network 172.16.32, which is here, .0, with the wildcard mask, which is 0.0.31.255, right? With
Yes.
area, for example, 0. And then network again, which is 64.0, with the same wildcard mask, with the same area. And if you want it to be the DSR, designated router, so we can say router ID of this is 3, or you can say 8.8.8.8, or you can configure the loopback address also, with the help of which it will be called as the designated router. So always when you assign this particular router ID, you need to, clear the IP OSPF process. Yes. So then after that, write to build the command Kalas. We are done with this side. From this side also, we have to do the same thing. Configuration terminal, we'll go to router OSPF process ID 15. So network, it's now 172.16.0.0 oblique 0.0.31.255 with an area of 0, which should be same.
Sir?
Yep.
Sir, you're at 32.
31, sorry. But why it's, wait. That's it. So then after that, again, 64, 0.0.31.255 and hit enter. That's it. And router ID, you want the lowest one so that it can be designated as BDR. So router ID, you can say 4.4.4. After 8, you can say 7.7.7. You can say anything, but lower than 8.8.8. So that's it. It's going to reload it, but you need to take exit from here, clear IP OSPF process for that. And you can say yes here. Kalas. It's going to interface down or detached. It's going to restore the interface. So that's it. So we are done with the OSPF. So if you want to check the connectivity, we can say ping 172. Oh, it's loading now. Translating. Control Z, Control C, nothing will work here. So From this interface, we will check the connectivity. So ping to 172.16.16.0.1 pinging, and then 16.64.1. It's pinging, that's it, connectivity is done. Now, if you wanted to configure the OSPF MD5 authentication, there are only 2 steps you have to do, or 3 steps. First of all, we are on this router, so we will implement or configure the OSPF authentication on this interface like we did in the previous topic. So here we'll go to the interface. Sorry, we have to go to configure terminal. The interface serial, which is this one, 0/2/1. So 0/2/1. Am I right?
Yes.
And then you have to give the same commands which I have told you. IP OSPF message digest key. 1 value should be 1, or you can use help if you don't know. You can see the key value message digest key can raise from 1 to 255. Okay, so I'm using 1, and then I can use again help. So this is the algorithm you have to use. You can use MD5 algorithm. So we'll use MD5, sorry, not ND, it's MD5. MD5, then the password, which is again help. You can see password, maximum 16 characters. So we can say password is del@123. Hit enter, and then on the same interface, we're going to configure the OSPF authentication. So we have 10 minutes only. So IP OSPF authentication, what happened? Authentication message digest. That's it. That's the command you have to give, and it will start authenticating the packets. Kalas. And that's it. Exit from this interface, exit from this interface, and write the configuration. These are 3 simple commands that will help us to enable MD5 authentication on an interface. That's it. We'll go on this router now, and we have to do the same thing. We'll go here in the configuration terminal, and first of all, we should know the interface name. So interface serial 0/2/0, and now we are on the serial interface 0/0/2/0, and same commands again. IP OSPF message digest, give a tab, and then value again 1. MD5, then password is del@123. It should be same on both the interfaces, and then IP OSPF authentication. You need to type it all because it will not give you, but message digest it will give you. That's it. Exit from here and write, and then check on this interface what is the algorithm used and what is the output that it's going to give you. So if you have to check it, so you can say show IP OSPF interface on that interface, which is serial 0/2/0. Hit enter. You will see message digest authentication is enabled. Youngest key ID is 1. Are you understanding? The router ID right now, it's point to point because from one router to another, retransmit, these are all the things that are mentioned. Cost is 64. Message digest authentication is enabled. So this is the youngest key ID, and you can just see show IP root. After that, you will check the root also, but you can see show running configuration also, where it will tell you rest of the things. You can see interface serial 0/2/0. IP address is this. IP OSPF authentication message digest. IP message digest MD5. This is the password, which is del@123. Clock rate is this. So that's all the information, or that's how do we just go through the authentication process. So show running configuration. You can see here message digest key MD5 del@123 is the password. So it will travel with an encryption. So this is the way how we can implement or configure OSPF MD5 authentication on the interfaces. Right? Clear?
Clear.
And one more thing, one more note is very important, that OSPF authentication type can also be enabled on an area basis. So for example, you don't want in the routers, all the routers are in the same area. So over there, we need to create the relationships. They are in the same particular area, but you want the authentication should happen on area basis. For example, you have two areas, 0 is 1. So instead of configuring OSPF authentication type per interface basis, which is a very big process, suppose you have 10 routers, 20 routers. So in the same area, in 0 area, you have 20 routers. So it's not necessary that you should configure it on each interface. In that time, we can just configure it on ASBR, or you can say ABR routers. So you can do it. This can be done by using area ID authentication. Area ID authentication message digest command under the OSPF configuration mode. So at that time, you do not have to configure it on the interface. You have to go through OSPF configuration mode. When you write the command router OSPF process ID, the network, under it, you can use area ID, area plus area ID plus authentication with message digest. With that, if you omit message digest keyword, a clear text authentication will be used. You have to use message digest. So it's very simple. I'm going to write it here. So if you wanted to enable OSPF authentication on area basis, suppose in the same topology you have, or in the same network you have two areas, so area basis. So what we're going to do is we can use the command area, then area ID, which can be like 0, 1, or whatever it is, area ID. Then you're going to use authentication, then message digest, which is very important. DIGST digest, that's it, command. So you need to also remember, if you omit, means if you are not going to mention the message digest keyword, a clear text authentication will be enabled, will be used, or you can say will be enabled for that area. So all interfaces inside the area will use OSPF authentication automatically. So mostly we do not configure OSPF authentication with MD5 on interface basis. We configure them on the basis of areas. So one area on each router, we are directly going to the OSPF configuration mode. You're understanding? Without going to the interfaces, what we do is we just go over here and then, for example, configuration terminal. We'll go to router OSPF. It's, what was the process ID?
15.
Yep, and then we can use area ID, which is 0, right? Authentication message digest. That's what we have to do. Area 0 authentication message digest. And even if you need help here, that's the only command you need to write. So area 0 authentication message digest. Message digest will automatically use MD5. If you're not going to include message digest, it will take clear text authentication. Are you understanding? So in the same way, on this router, you're going to do the same thing. You'll go here and then you will just go to config terminal. You will go to router, OSPF, process ID is 15, and then area, which is area ID 0. In the same area, authentication, message digest, خلاص. That's it. Exit. Exit and write. So this was all for today. And with this, we have completed our OSPF authentication. I hope you understood each and everything, right?
Yes.
So that was enough for today. You can check this out. Clear text authentication is not needed at all. Try it with this MD5 on each interface basis and on area basis, based on area. So whatever the routers you do have, so on each router, you're going to use based on area 0 authentication message digest. This is the command you have to use over there without wasting the time by configuring it on each interfaces. So directly go and configure it on the OSPF configuration mode. Clear?
Clear.
That's enough for today, and I will see you on the next lecture on Monday, inshallah. And on Monday, I will be going through OSPF summarization. Where can we summarize? And where we cannot summarize. This is an important task and concept also. And I'm going to give the difference between OSPF summarization and EIGRP summarization, where I'm going to explain the basic concepts, and I'm going to give a topology so that we can better understand.